In 2012, I was living in LA and I was in the exact same place I had been in 2005, where I was just miserable. I was waking up like, oh my God, this life again. I was going to bed like, please God, I just don't want to wake up.
Mm.
And finally, in 2012, I had an experience that broke through and really broke me open. And I said, okay, fine. Like whatever you want from me, whatever you need from me. I don't know who you are. I don't know what you want, but if you get me back to Seattle, get me a job, get me an apartment, whatever you want from me, as long as I'm happy, self-employed, and helping people, I'll do it. And I did.
At this point, like, were you pleading to God, source? What was your?
I just didn't know. So in 2005, I'll just briefly share. In 2005, I had lost my apartment. I was living with some friends, sleeping on a mattress on their living room floor, and life was just crashing down upon me. And I was at this moment where I was just particularly desperate. And I just said out loud one morning, my roommates had gone. I was home by myself because I didn't have a job. I wasn't doing anything but like leeching off of other people.
Yeah.
And I just said, I don't know what to do. I need help.
Mm.
And then immediately I heard this voice say, you realize it doesn't have to be this hard. You can go back to Seattle if you want to. And it wasn't just a thought, it was a voice in the
Yeah.
room. And I was like, what the hell was that? Like, are my roommates home looking outside? Is someone on the street? Did someone leave the TV on? No, it was really me from that higher perspective speaking to myself. I know now it was my higher self.
Mm.
And so 2 weeks later, I was back in Seattle, staying with a friend, like literally almost overnight, seemingly impossible. I had no way of knowing how it was going to work out. It just magically worked out and I was fine. 2012, fast forward, in the same exact place, miserable, unhappy. Like I had on paper, my life, and I talk about this in the book, in the opening chapter of the book.
Yeah.
On paper, my life looked great. I had a life that many people would have given anything for,
Yeah.
but I was miserable. And so I decided to paint my apartment because what do you do when you're a queer person? But you decorate when you're unhappy.
Yep.
So
Rearrange. Yep.
I'm a bit of a cliche. And
Yep.
so I was painting the bathroom and I was just about ready to paint the final wall. And as soon as I touched the roller to the wall, the same voice said, you do realize as soon as you finish painting this bathroom, it's going to be time to leave, don't you?
Mm.
And that was it. Like I get goosebumps even talking about it
Wow.
again because it was the exact same voice, the exact same moment, the exact same, experience emotionally that I was in. And that was it. I lost it. I just broke down, cried intensely for I don't know how long. It was at least an hour. And I finally said, okay, I give. And what I'm aware of now, looking back, is that that was kind of my last opportunity to commit or not. I saw very
Mm.
clearly in that moment that I had a choice. I could continue down the path of trying to control, of trying to stay in the familiar, trying to stay in the acceptable known reality, trying with every fiber of my being to make my life be something that it wasn't. And
Yeah.
I would have been dead a year later, I have no doubt. Or at least living a life where I might as well have been dead because I would have been
Wow.
so miserable and broken.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or I could have said yes and just given in, and I did. And that changed everything. And that's when I said, okay, as long as you get me back to Seattle, get me a job in an apartment, I'll do whatever you want. As long as I'm happy, self-employed, and helping people.
Yeah.
Literally, like 2, 3 weeks later, that's exactly where I was. And then things just started really accelerating in 2013, and it just took off from there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. It's pretty common with many healers that 2012 was a very pivotal
Yeah.
year for us, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there was so much, conversation around 2012 and what does it mean in the end of the world and apocalypse and blah, blah, blah. And apocalypse just means revelation, right? It just
Yes.
means like the truth begins to come to the surface
Yeah.
and the end of the cycle. And we were literally in these endings, the end of the Kali Yuga and moving out of Pluto and Capricorn, getting ready to move into Pluto and Aquarius. And
Mhm.
I think that one of the things that we as humans often do is we take these spiritual messages that are often metaphorical or very abstract or symbolic, and we take them literally.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And,
Like
we
the
interpret
Bible.
things in yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. We
Yeah.
read the Bible as word for word, like this is, no, it's not what Jesus really said. It's an
Yeah.
interpretation of a symbol.
Right,
Um,
right.
and so I think that in 2012, there was a big awakening. There was a huge wake up call. And I see now that the work I do is very important. It's very meaningful. And I'm humbled to be able to do it. But at the time, I was so focused on the fear of the unknown and what am I going to have to give up and what does this mean that I just couldn't see beyond my own short-sighted fear and anxiety.
Yeah.